Chapter 2. The First Apex. Priest Kings of Sumer. What ancient rituals merged God, king, and control? Before Egypt raised its pyramids, before Israel carved monotheism into history, before China unified under heaven's mandate, the world's first true apex of power rose from the mud-brick cities of Sumer. It did not rise with armies. It rose with rituals. The Sumerians created something the world had never seen. A ruler who was not merely a strong man or a chieftain, but a bridge between humanity and the divine. A priest, a king, a conduit. The first man who claimed the right to speak for the gods. And once a single human claimed to speak for the divine, the architecture of civilization changed forever. Travel back 6,000 years to the fertile plains of southern Mesopotamia. The landscape is raw and brilliant, carved by canals and rivers, dotted with early cities whose walls seem almost accidental. Uruk, Ur, Lagash, Eridu. These settlements are experiments in scale, swelling with farmers, artisans, and the first scribes to ever press reeds into clay. But something deeper is taking shape. Something invisible, yet monumental. The world's first structured hierarchy. And at the top stands a new type of ruler. The Sumerians called him the Ensi, or the Lugal, high priest, great man, the first apex. This was not leadership as we understand it. It was a merging. God, king, and control fused into one core identity. And that fusion was reinforced by ritual. At dawn in the city of Uruk, the priest king emerges from the sacred precinct. He has spent the night in ritual seclusion inside the temple, fasting, praying, inhaling incense that blurs the boundaries between flesh and spirit. Outside, thousands gather. They do not see a man, they see a vessel. The priest king ascends the steps of the ziggurat, the world's first pyramid. It is not a burial tomb like those that would come in Egypt. It is a throne of earth, a layered mountain built not to house the dead, but to elevate the living, to raise a mortal closer to the gods. At the summit he begins the morning rite. He pours beer onto the ground for fertility. He burns bread for prosperity. He offers incense to the air for protection. He reads the entrails of a lamb to predict the city's fate. This single ritual accomplishes something extraordinary. It binds the psychological, the political, and the spiritual into one act. The people believe their crops depend on his purity. The scribes believe their calendars depend on his divination. The soldiers believe victory depends on his favor with the gods. Power has fused with ritual. Ritual has fused with fear. Fear has fused with obedience. This is not leadership. It is architecture. Why did the Sumerians accept this fusion so quickly? Because the priest king solved three existential problems that plagued early urban life. First, uncertainty. Life in early cities was fragile. Floods, droughts, disease, famine. Any of these could end thousands of lives in a single season. The priest king became the one who interpreted signs from the heavens, giving the chaos of nature a narrative. Second, conflict. The priest king was the mediator between clans, the one who controlled sacred space, rituals, and lineage. People obeyed him because he alone could promise cosmic order. Third, legitimacy. As cities exploded in size, authority could no longer come only from personal charisma. The priest king offered something stronger, divine endorsement. If the gods chose him, who could challenge him? A ruler with an army may be feared. A ruler with wealth may be envied. But a ruler backed by the divine is obeyed. This was Sumer's innovation, power that justified itself through heaven. To cement this new architecture, the priest kings developed ceremonies so intricate, so psychologically precise, that they became the blueprint for every monarchy, empire, and sacred order that followed. One of these rituals was the Hieros Gamos, the sacred marriage. Each year, at the spring festival, the priest king enacted a symbolic union with the goddess Inanna. Through this ritualized marriage, he guaranteed the fertility of the land. It was theater on a cosmic scale. The people believed that if the priest king failed his role, the fields would wither. In a world where survival depended on the harvest, this ritual was not metaphor. It was policy. Another ritual, The enthronement ceremony required the priest king to symbolically die to his old self and be reborn as a divine representative. Initiates standing below the ziggurat watched as he emerged, dressed in shimmering robes, crowned in lapis lazuli, holding the rod and ring that symbolized judgment and authority. The message was unmistakable. This was no longer a man. This was a living instrument of divine order. Power became theater. Theater became truth. And behind all this ritual lay something even more influential: writing. The Sumerians were the first to encode laws, offerings, taxes, debts, and temple inventories into clay tablets. This was not bookkeeping. This was the creation of a new layer in the pyramid. The priest king controlled the scribes. The scribes controlled the knowledge. Knowledge controlled the people. The first bureaucratic system in human history did not emerge in a palace. It emerged in a temple complex. This was the Quiet Revolution. Once information could be recorded, stored, repeated, and standardized, the priest king's authority no longer depended on memory or charisma. It depended on infrastructure. Ritual gave him the right to rule. Writing allowed him to maintain it. Together they produced something world-changing, a self-reinforcing system. But the priest kings were not satisfied with symbolic power alone. They built standing militias drawn from temple workers and city laborers. They controlled the storehouses of grain. They set interest rates, appointed judges, and commanded the construction of canals. In the hands of a Sumerian ruler, the ziggurat was an economic engine. The temple was a vault. The god was a political weapon. The fusion of divine authority and secular control made the priest king not simply powerful, but irreplaceable. This is the second great truth of power. Once sacred and political authority merge, the apex becomes unassailable. Even the fall of cities could not erase the architecture. When Akkadian kings conquered Sumer, they adopted the same rituals. When Babylon rose, it perfected them. When Assyria expanded, it weaponized them. The template survived every collapse because it was too effective to discard. The priest king is the ancestor of every monarch, every emperor, every pope, and every modern leader who claims a mandate beyond policy, whether divine, historical, cultural, or ideological. The fusion that began in Sumer has shaped every apex since. And as we move forward through history, we find that the rituals evolve, the symbols change, but the function remains the same. Authority wrapped in sanctity, obedience disguised as devotion, and control embedded in the rhythms of daily life. The next chapter takes us to Egypt, where the pyramid becomes stone, not symbol, turning Sumer's conceptual apex into a monumental, immortal one. Power never dies. It evolves.